Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to cover the if statement, which is one of my favorite things in Python. In the previous two videos we covered booleans and equality, and the if statement is going to build upon that. So if you haven't checked out those videos, go back and check them out. So the if statement allows you to check if something is true, and if something is true, then and only then execute some code. So here is what it looks like. If some statement is true, here true is true, then I'm going to execute this code here, which I'm going to print I am true. Notice that this is indented. This is very important because this knows that if this is true, then run this piece of code. So let's try that. You can see if this is true and true is true, then run this piece of code, print I am true. So you might have more pieces of code that you want to run instead of this one print statement. So let's say we have another piece of code and we'll just do another print statement. We'll say I am also true. And then let's say we have a piece of code that's outside of the if statement. Print I am after if statement. So let's try this. So again, it tests to see if this is true, and then it is, so it printed this piece of code that's indented. And then after the if statement, it continues on and printed the statement, I am after if statement. So let's try to check. Let's change this to false and see what happens here. All right. Notice that this code was not executed because false is not true. So this indented part did not run. So the next part of the code after the if statement is this print statement, which will print as it did. Okay, so let's take that a little further. Now you can check if other conditions are true or false. And so we have something called the else if or elif. And that means else if true, then do this piece of code. So starting from the beginning, if this is true, then run this. But if it's not true, then it's going to check this else if to see if this is true. In this case, it is true, and it will print 2. Once it hits a statement that is true, then any code after that part of this if here will not run. So when we get to this else if, it will not reach this piece of code. And we also have the else, and the else is to run if everything else is false, then run this last piece of code. So let's just run this. So notice it printed 2. So first it checked to see if this was true. It's not, so it moved on, and it saw that this is true, so it printed the 2. And none of the code after this if statement printed. So let's change this one to false now, and keep this one as true, and run it this time. And notice that we get 3. So this is false, so this didn't print. This is false, so this didn't print. This is true, so it did print, and else did not trigger. Okay, and let's change this one to false. Okay, and this time it printed 4. So you can see this is false, this is false, this is false. So all these ifs are false. And when all of them are false and we have an else, we trigger the print for. The else is not required. So we can just run this and we can see that nothing happens. We can also do more else ifs if we wanted, as many as we really like. Like that. Let me see. Printed hello this time. So we can see that the if statement starts with the if. If you want to check for some other conditions, if that is false, then you can use the else if. And if you want to catch all, then you can use the else to catch if everything else is false. All right, let's try another example here. So we have the weather where right now it's sunny out, and if we're going to test to see if the weather is sunny, if the weather is sunny, we're going to say go to the beach. If the weather is snowing, we're going to say build a snowman. If the weather is raining, take a nap. And else, print, I don't know what to do when the weather is, wherever the weather is. So let's run this and see what happens. All right, so since the weather is sunny, we print to go to the beach. So let's change the weather now to snowing. Okay, and so in the first if here, the weather is not sunny because it's snowing, so this is false. So then I checked if the weather is snowing, and it is, and it printed build a snowman, and then the rest stopped. All right, and let's just try raining. And as we expected, we said we printed an app. And let's just change this to hail. And we don't have anything set for hail. So let's run that. And the else triggered because all these were false. And it says, I don't know what to do when the weather is hail. There we go. So there's a working example of how we use ifs to test if some conditions are true, and if they are true, we can execute some piece of code. And as we saw above, we can execute multiple pieces of code. We can use multiple elifs to test multiple other conditions, and the else catches is a catch-all if everything else is false. Well, hopefully you found that helpful. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.